Hello everyone, this is Simon from writtenlegalenglish.com and welcome to this video where I'm going to go through my suggested answer for the competition text I asked you to have a look at last week. So let's get started. Okay, so you can see the competition text behind me, and I chose this text for two reasons. The main one being is that it comes from Brian Garner's excellent book. Now, Brian Garner, as I've said in a lot of my videos, is one of the most important people when it comes to writing legal English or trying to get people to write legal English in a plain English way so that it's open for everyone to understand, or a lot more people to understand what the message is. So the fact that he chose this text tells us that there is a problem with this text. Not that it's sophisticated, so therefore it's good, but there is a problem with this text. It has been overwritten, overcomplicated, and we need to simplify it. And the second reason is because this comes from his intermediate questions, which don't have an answer key. So it means that you're forced to think about what this is by yourself. And in this video, we are going to go through that process or rather, I'm going to show you a couple of ways how you can go through that process in order to simplify that message, because that's what I wanted from you. I wanted a complete redraft of this for you to identify what the main message is and then to present that in a professional but simple way. In short, as I say behind me, the text uses 51 words. What are the essential messages, and how can you communicate this those messages in fewer words? So let's find out how we can do that. The first way to do this, as I've recommended in every competition video so far, is to use the Enter key and break the text down. It's a simple technique, but it really does help you understand all of the elements of a text. And of course, I've pressed the Enter key in the places which suggests to me a point is being made. You might press the Enter key in different places, whatever makes sense for you. But if we break it down in this way, it helps us to understand or begin to understand what's going on. So an interpreter is needed if, after examining a witness, the court arrives at the conclusion that the witness is without the ability to understand and speak English at a sufficient level of proficiency to comprehend the proceedings in such a way as to assist counsel in the conduct of the case. So now we've broken everything down line by line, and it opens up the text and it allows us to see all of those points. That's the first step. The second step might be to identify the verbs in the text, and you can see that I've highlighted them behind me. So we've got is, arrives, is, to understand and to speak, to comprehend and to assist. The first thing we can identify is that those verbs are not really helping us. There is a message, but those verbs are not helping us to understand the message, which means that we're not using the appropriate verbs for this message. We need to use different verbs. We need to analyze the text now, and we need to find out where those verbs are. So I've highlighted possible verbs here. Need, so is needed. So we've got a verb possibly hiding in an adjective. Examine, so we've got a gerund which is examining. Maybe that can be a verb, an examine. We've got a nominalization here. Arrives at the conclusion. Does this mean concludes in some way? Then we've got this without the ability to understand and speak. Now, there's plenty of glue words going on here, unnecessary words. Does this mean cannot understand or speak? Or are we talking about comprehension in some way? And then we've got this strange verb, assist. Assist what and how? And when you start thinking about these verbs, you then automatically start thinking, as I've highlighted here, about the subjects and the objects. So who is doing these verbs, and what are these verbs then affecting? And so at that point, we begin to understand the relationships. What's going on? Who's doing what? Who's being affected by these actions? And so this is the next step in understanding what the message is really trying to say. And then the third step is to deal with all of that wordiness. Do we need these words? Is there any way that we can squeeze these words down into fewer words, or into more concise language. And you can see that I've highlighted some, well, you can see pretty much all of the language there. So after examining a witness, it provides context, but do we really need to say that? Arrives at the conclusion, as I said, is a nominalization. Maybe this could just be conclude. Without the ability. As I said, does this mean cannot, or does not, or some other negative form? Understand and speak English. Do we really need to say all of those things? You might think it's important, but in terms of understanding the basic message, do we really need to highlight these issues? Then we've got sufficient level of proficiency. Is there not an easier way to say that? In such a way. So we've got a prepositional phrase there. Do we need that? And then we've got to assist counsel in the conduct of the case. What's going on there? What's the message behind that? Because I get the feeling that there is something which is relatively straightforward going on here, but all of these words are overcomplicating this. So finally, once we've considered all of those things, these are my suggested redrafts, and you may disagree with them. If you do, then please leave a comment below, and I'd love to have that discussion with you guys. But this is what I think the basic main message is. And I've got two variants here. The court may use an interpreter if it decides the witness does not have the language skills to understand the proceedings or answer cross-examination questions. Now, I've put understanding the proceedings or because this might not be relevant. If we cut to the chase, we might just be talking about answering cross-examination questions, which is what I think is really going on here. So because we've got a conditional in this structure, we could then rephrase it in a different way. We could say, which is the second version, if the court decides that the witness does not have the language skills to understand the proceedings or to answer cross-examination questions, an interpreter may be used. What do you guys think? Have I taken out too much information? Have I materially changed the message in some way? Do you agree with me thinking that this really is the main message, or is there something that I should be adding, or even something that I can still take away? Leave your comments below, and as I said, I'd love to see what you guys think and have that discussion with you. Okay. I hope you enjoyed thinking about this question and coming up with your own answers. Be sure to come back tomorrow, either on YouTube or on Facebook, and find out what the competition question, the competition text for this week is. Okay, guys, I'll see you then.